Morning. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. So, if you want more, give. Sometimes activating principles and learning about principles seems simple. In fact, the principles themselves are simple. That's one way we can know it's probably the real deal. If it's really complicated, it's probably not truth. But if it's pretty simple, it likely is. That's different from being easy, isn't it? If you want more, give more. If you want more money, give more money. That sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? Money is one of the greatest spaces we can see that feels like a contradiction. How can I get more by giving some of it away? One of the keys is to shifting that consciousness of what away is and recognizing if truly we are all one, if we live in a field of oneness and a field of infinite unity and harmony and vibration, there is actually no such possibility as giving anything away. There's giving it up in consciousness. There's dedicating it. There's being intentional. And there's activating a law. Today is about, what do you think? Prosperity, yep. And it's about one special focus of prosperity. Money. Fun, huh? All of us need money to live our lives, don't we? For the most part. Probably if you don't have it, you feel a little pinch. Money is that circulation energy that we have designated as people to represent our skills, our gifts, our talent, our energy, that which we put into circulation, that which we commit ourselves to. And it's what we get back in our hands so we can trade. Of course, there were times when we didn't have money or money didn't look like what it was. But right now, money is simply trading power, correct? So why is there so much drama and trauma and fear and excitement and activity around the idea of money? This message is not your traditional message on tithing. It's not your traditional message on money. Because I don't believe that traditional idea of tithe, give 10% of everything that comes in to your church, I don't believe that is the all-expansive way of expressing that principle of tithing. There is so much more to it. Because in fact, even that idea of saying 10% of your income should go to your church implies that the church somehow has a deficiency or a need. And that actually is not prosperity consciousness. But there is something to the principle, which is why freedom people throughout time have engaged in the law of circulation and have in fact engaged in the law of giving to where you see spiritual nourishment shared, giving to a church or a spiritual center. That is, in fact, a practice that has emancipated a lot of people from an energetic jail in where they felt like their money was mastering them. So is there something to the practice? Absolutely. And we're going to dive into that today. The law of circulation. The law of giving and receiving is a law of nature. It's not one of those laws that you get put in jail if you don't follow. You're not going to get arrested, though you may feel like your development and your finances are arrested until you get it. It's a law of nature, a law that is in effect whether or not you choose to operate by it, because it is operative in this universe, and it is a part of our very nature as beings. In fact, that law is even patterned in our own physical bodies. Everyone take a big inhale and exhale. That's the law of giving and receiving, isn't it? What would happen if we just inhaled and stopped? What would happen if we exhaled and just stopped? What about eating? What if we just kept eating Okay, we're not going to go there. But really, if you think about it, right, every part of our physical body expresses this law. It is in our nature. It's simple. All of nature expresses this law. When we don't operate in accord with our nature, we get stuck, we get blocked, or we may find ourselves in a space of what you can think of as spiritual or energetic obesity or gluttony. Because if it's coming to us and it's not coming from us, we can get stuck just like we would get stuck if we inhaled but did not exhale, just like we would get stuck if we just, right? It's part of nature. All of life circulates. So the question is, how do we circulate? And how conscious are we of our circulation? How on purpose are we about it? And how have we stepped into choosing to activate what we know or what might be true in order to have a better, more free, more fulfilling life? And in fact, in order to get out of the spiral of the human condition and into the experience of what we're meant to be as spiritual beings, activating power and God presence on this planet. When we give to the all. We give in a healthy way when we give from our overflow. Now, when we talk about tithing, a lot of people hear the idea, okay, well, all that comes to me, I'm supposed to look at it, and 10% of that I am supposed to dedicate or lift up or circulate. That's the principle, that's the practice. Well, that leaves me only with 90%. That doesn't feel like giving from my overflow. See, it takes a consciousness of recognizing that all money is just an expression of God energy and circulation. It's an expression of talents and gifts. So you're not looking at giving away 10%. In the Prosperity Plus program, Merriman and Morrissey, they teach it and talk about it as being, how about looking at it like this? How about looking at it like you get to keep 90? Look at it like you get to keep 90%. Or we could try on a whole nother picture as well and think about it as giving from our abundance, giving from our overflow. The Buddha said this, if you knew what I know about the power of giving, you would not let a single meal pass without sharing it in some way. Leo Tolstoy said, the sole meaning of life is to serve humanity. And Jesus, the master teacher, had a life full of this demonstration. Probably not a lick of money, but a life full of the demonstration, right? If the money was representative of what the master teacher was able to give, he would have been filthy rich, right? So much circulated, so much given, even in the midst of seeming scarcity or seeming poverty. How we circulate and how we participate with this law is up to us. Whether or not the law exists is irrelevant because it does. It exists. It's patterned in nature and it's patterned in our lives. Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, says this, the law of substance that equalizes all things. This is the law of giving and receiving. Does anyone want to be equalized? Does that sound good? Balanced, harmonious? In the flow. To realize and maintain divine order, substance must both have an inlet and an outlet in consciousness. And it must be kept moving. To demonstrate substance as supply, the law governing it must be recognized and kept. Those who from pride or ignorance do not open themselves to the inflow of substance do not demonstrate supply. And all who by selfishness refuse it, an outlet, also fail. Readiness to give and readiness to receive are equally essential. What I love about spiritual teachings is, and even when you look at the teachings of the master teacher, there's a lot of times a twist, a paradox, a shift that it's like, well, it doesn't make sense that if I did this, that would happen. But when you really look into the practice and you look into the field of consciousness, it all makes sense and you have an aha moment that you go, wow. That was clever. That was a clever teaching, a clever unfoldment that shifted my mind and shifted my awareness towards the all good. Now, some people have been taught and have the idea in their minds that love of money is the root of all. That's right. So you could think about that as being love or attachment to money is the root of much error, right? Attachment to money is the root of much error. Does that seem true? Have you seen in your life or in our world what people will do for money? How people that chase that could go astray? Have you seen people that then on the other side are absolutely free and comfortable and secure and have mastered their money? So it's not the money that's the root of all evil. It's the glorification, the attachment, and in fact the praise and worship of it, rather than the knowing of the source, rather than the learning of the law that creates the error. Deepak Chopra says, when you seek money or power for the sake of the ego, you spend energy chasing the illusion of happiness instead of enjoying happiness in the moment. So what is tithing and circulation, this whole idea, what is it not about? What it's not about is your public business and letting everyone else know or doing something out of pressure. Because this is about you and your spirit. This is about me and my Creator. This is about what I've learned as an effective human being on this planet to engage in my life in abundant and free ways. What it's not about is fear. It's not about the idea that bad things are going to happen if I don't tithe. I had someone one time walk into my office and explain to me that they had a significant amount of income come in, and they were wanting to just discuss tithing on it and what did I think. Now, you could take the angle of saying, well, you should tithe. You should definitely tithe on that money because here, A, B, and C, this is going to happen if you do, this is going to happen if you don't. Is that truth-based or is that fear-based? Totally fear-based. The first thing that came out of my mouth is that I said, what I can tell you is to release the idea and the conversation in your mind that bad things are going to happen if you don't do it. That you're somehow less of a person, somehow less brave, somehow something is going to come back and get you. If we're stuck in fear, we'll actually create that experience for ourselves. The most important thing about giving is doing it with your full being, right? Getting into a place where you do it with joy. Now, that doesn't mean we don't stretch ourselves. Some people like to say give till it hurts. But the other side of give till it hurts is give till it feels good, right? Give till it hurts, give till it feels good. It's all a matter of how you want to see it or how you want to feel it. But it's just like life. It's just like our spiritual path. It's just like how we're always working our edge, right? We're always stretching and growing, renewing, getting deeper with God ideas and allowing them to saturate our being so that we can live a more abundant life in this moment. Here's another thing that it's not about. This is kind of one of those interesting observations. Are there millionaires out there who don't tithe? What do you think? Are there people that have a lot of money that haven't engaged in the practice of circulating to where they get their spiritual nourishment? Sure. So you know what that says to the scientific mind, to the reasonable mind? That says, this is bogus, it's hogwash, right? Because A plus B doesn't equal C. I can see it all over. Well, that would be a light way to look at the principle and a light way to look at the practice. Do you believe that all money is equal? Is every dollar equal? I don't believe it is. I believe that a dollar blessed, a dollar dedicated, a dollar given in the spirit of love, a dollar multiplied energetically is a more powerful dollar than a dollar given in fear than a dollar given with a consciousness of lack than a dollar given in worry. So the principles and the practice aren't just about bank accounts. They're not just about the dollar bills. They're about a beautiful, amazing, abundant, saturating consciousness that if we choose, will lift a very intense, heavy energy that can be present in a lot of people's lives. People have taken their own lives because of money problems. People have betrayed themselves because of money. People wake up every morning and go to bed every night having anxiety attacks because of money. Is it worth it? If there were a key that could help us out of this jail that money can sometimes create, would you use that key? What I know about people who circulate is that they feel differently about their money. It doesn't jail them. What I know about people who circulate is that they are part of creating good intentionally. They put their money where their mouth is, and they're in alignment with that which they seek to grow on this planet. And when you're in alignment in one area of your life, it is the nature of alignment that the other fields of operation in your life start getting on the page, start reaping the benefits of that overflow in consciousness. What I know about those who circulate is that they are empowered and that they are free, and that above all, they trust in divine source. By whatever name they call it, they trust it, they've tested it, and they know it will not fail. That is incredibly valuable, isn't it? Really incredibly valuable. But why really practice it? Why really practice it? Because it brings up a lot of fear thoughts. Practice it because it's a practice of mastery. Master your money or let your money master you. Master your money or let your money master you. The choice is ours. We can either make it work for us or we can be worked over by it. When we get tithing, and I like to give this example, when we really get tithing, and this isn't so much about the spiritual aspect, this is the real, like, nitty-gritty human. In the United States of America, people have more credit card debt. I mean, it's just insane, right? This is real practical why to practice. If one can dedicate 10% of their income to where they see spiritual nourishment shared, how hard is it for that person to buy a car when their old car goes? How hard is it for that person to make a commitment and start saving for something that they really want to develop in their life, a goal, a vision? How hard is it for that person to flex in the ebb and flow of life when life has its ups and downs and more is coming in or less is coming in? How much easier is it for the person that's mastered tithing, that said, hey, this 10%, I'm dedicating it to this. This is my practice. Whether or not it's a lot, it's a principle. That person can do all of these other things with an increased amount of grace and ease. Because it's no big deal. One has learned the practice of dedicating, learned the practice of intending, learned the practice of faith, and learned the practice of saving. If I can give 10% of my income to the places I see nourishment shared, yeah, you bet I can flex with my income. You bet I can save. You bet I can make a plan to release credit card debt and let go of that experience, of that energy drain in my life and in my experience, because I know that I am engaging in a practice. Why practice? It's a vote. The Dalai Lama said the world is a spiritual democracy and you vote with your life. When we practice tithing, we vote. You know, I like to say we all live on the same planet, but we don't all live in the same world. We all live on the same planet, but we don't all live in the same world. The world really is a spiritual democracy, and we do, in fact, vote with our lives. So when we engage in a practice of dedication, we make a statement. We make a statement to get over all of the excuses and the ideas of what's wrong with the world and say, I'm going to be a part of creating that which I want to see more of. I am committed that this life that I've lived, my time on the planet, will have prospered the good that I want to see shared. And that's my vote. That's me voting. And it gets me into alignment with all of my other choices of that which I spend my money on. Because if, you know the credit card statement you get at the end of the year? Do you get that? Where my credit card company has really helped me with my prosperity practice. Because it shows me, it lines it up on a pie chart. How much does Erin spend playing? How much does Erin spend out to dinner, at the movies? How much does Erin spend on lattes? Right? It shows us our values. And sometimes we get disconnected from that. We get overwhelmed with the whole picture, and we become unintentional. We stop recognizing our power to create. And we put less intention. We don't so much recognize that when I purchase something from the neighbor that created it or made this, I am directly prospering them. And I love the consciousness through which they create. When I spend my money with this company, I'm saying, in a real practical way, supply and demand, I'm saying, I want more of that on this planet. I want more of that on this planet. So let's get real with ourselves. Do we want more of everything that we prosper on this planet? Think about some of the things in our lives that we've spent $1 on. And I'm not going to go through the whole gamut, but this could be a really interesting conversation. It could be full of secrets. It could be full of addictions. It could be full of unconsciousness, or it could be full of consciousness, right? It's ours to ask that question with ourselves. Is there space where I could actually elevate my conscious awareness and activate what I am really intending more powerfully in my life with getting in tune, getting clear, and doing a real spiritual inventory of how my practice with money shows up in my life? That's what we're about on the spiritual path, is looking at the conscious, the semi-conscious, and hopefully the subconscious or the unconscious things that we do, and asking ourselves those questions. And when we're willing to do that, wow, life opens up. One of my processes that I went through when I was engaging in the idea of tithing and learning why it's important, I didn't have any problem doing it because I like to follow the law or the rule, right? I didn't have any problem just saying, okay, well, if that's what I'm supposed to do, then do it. But if I'm going to teach it, I better have a darn good reason. I better have a deep understanding of why it's important. If I'm going to invite people into this practice, I need to keep praying about the reasons why. And here's what I came up with. When we tithe 10%, because you know, historically and biblically, that idea is about bringing everything into the storehouse and giving the first to God, right? That's the practice. So everything that flows to us and through us, then lifting and dedicating the top 10% to where we see source most purely and clearly expressing. Make sense? To me, I realized about the practice that when I do that and when I bless it, what I am saying for all of the money that comes to me and through me, for my entire bank account, for my financial prosperity, I am saying, here is what has come to me, and I take this 10%, I lift it up, I bless it, and I'm not just blessing it. What I'm saying is, in this way, may all the rest be blessed. In this way, may every other penny follow this blessing. In this way, let the consciousness of this, the consciousness, even in those places where I'm not at my highest in demonstrating, let the consciousness of all that comes to me, all that comes through me, be blessed in accord with this intention that I clearly set forward in this activity, with this action of giving to where I see spiritual nourishment shared. To me, that was an epiphany. It's an epiphany hard to put into words, but it's a practice. It's a principle, and it's a powerful blessing. Charles Fillmore said, the act of giving complies with the divine law because it involves the recognition of God as the giver, and all increase. Unless we have a recognition of the source of our supply, we have no assurance of continuing its use. Now, it would be nice if we made money once and for all and we didn't have to think about it anymore, but we don't. It's a constant process throughout our whole lives of circulating. And how can that be a good thing? We make it a good thing by the practice. I'm going to share with you a few other quotes from Heart-Centered Metaphysics by Paul Hasselbeck. They're really quotes from Unity. Charles Fillmore, in The Revealing Word, said, tithing, giving a tenth of one's supply to God and his work. Tithing is a tacit agreement that humankind, in partnership with God, in the conduit of our finances. Tithing, which is based on the law that cannot fail, establishes method in giving. It brings into the consciousness a sense of divine order that is manifested in one's outer life and affairs as increased efficiency and greater prosperity. It's a method that creates increased efficiency and greater prosperity. From Keep It True Lent, Charles Fillmore said, watch your thoughts when they're handling your money, because your money is attached through your mind to the one source of all substance and all money, which is visible as something directly attached to an invisible source that is giving or withholding according to your thought. You have the key to all riches and the reason for all lack. Charles Fillmore went on to say, the wise metaphysician deals with the money idea, and masters it. Deals with the money idea and masters it. So what are some of the hitches in the giddy up? What are some of the lockouts? Is my money where my mouth is? Checking my values. That's number one. Check my values. Is my money really where my mouth is? Is my money where my priorities are? And getting into alignment. The next lockout is failing to vote. Not recognizing that truly the world is a spiritual democracy, that I am here, you are here, we are here collectively to create a new economy by spiritualizing our values and reflecting them in our visions and in our actions. That's a lot of power. The principle will lay there unless we use it. It's ours to demonstrate it. The next lockout is this, and this is a tricky one, and it comes sometimes in ways that are hard to get. The ego can really argue with this one. It's this. The lockout is, are there places in my mind, do I have a story around the evidence when a financial situation got bad or something that took my good or my money? can I point to where or when or what happened that limited me? And this doesn't just have to be about not having enough. This can be about whatever a limit is. Even if I'm totally saturated in abundance, if I am open and available for the next level of that stewardship, am I experiencing a ceiling? If I can find evidence and point to places and spaces and say, it was in 1989 when I lost that job that this happened. It was with this person on this day that happened. It was here, it was there, it was because of this, it was because of that. All of that is simply fear. Fear sees in fragments, and it frantically tries to pinpoint, to blame, to point to evidence so that we can't see the consciousness that we're holding in this now moment that is absolutely free to experience its good. It picks out evidence, it picks out victims, it plays the blame game. So anytime that idea comes up, simply whisper, no, 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 that's irrelevant. Right here and right now is where I choose to use my power and to activate my practice. Never name when it happened, because that easily becomes an excuse. And evidence and experiences are different than causes in consciousness. So maybe this message came to you because you're ready for a turnaround with your finances. Or maybe this message came to you because you're ready for an even better. Here are 3 steps. So deep breath in, deep exhale. The first is this. Play around with the prosperity principles. Set an amount. Think of an amount you choose to have in your bank account by the end of this year. Set it. Hold it. Know it. Let it be wild and crazy if you want to. Set an amount. Let it come to you. Let it come through you. Visualize it, know it, see it, feel it. And then let it go. Let it go and let God be God. There is an amazing energy field that gets activated when we set a vision in faith, in consciousness, and then we release it. I have had the funniest stories, the most unexpected blessings and sources of income when I've done this. I have sat in a moment of feeling ridiculous, saying that I could have a certain amount of money in my bank account by a certain amount of time. I've listened to the voice that says, check, 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 check. Nope, none of those avenues, nothing that I'm aware of could bring that in. Let that all go. Set it and release it. Same thing with credit cards, same thing with jobs, whatever it is, set it and let it go. The next is this, make a commitment. This is the piece for a lot of people that's uncomfortable. Joel Osteen says, give in proportion to your income with the goal of tithing. So if we're tithing, awesome. We're there, activate it, elevate it, look at the whole consciousness around it, lift it up, feel good about it, let it expand. If that's too much, don't sell yourself short by saying it's too much, I can't have any of it. Consider the possibility of a practice of giving in proportion. That's the key. A commitment to give in proportion to your income, to where you're spiritually fed. So that may mean 1%, it may mean 3%, it may mean 5 or 7. Why is that important? Because it's the inventory. It's showing that I'm aware and I'm conscious. This makes the shift in consciousness from being consumers to co-creators. It's not in our nature to be consumers. It is not our nature to be consumers. It is our nature to be creators, to be co-creators, and to make a commitment and a dedication to that. Eleanor Roosevelt said, when you cease to make a contribution, you begin to die. And here's the next. Bless it. Reframe the energy around money. If you're paying your credit card bill, feel good about it. Say, thank you, whatever and whoever you are, that you lent me this money and that I got to do what I needed to do with it, and I feel good about giving it back to you, rather than feeling like someone's taking something from you, right? Think about that. When you write your checks, do you feel like, oh, that's nasty, they took it there? Or do you feel good, like, wow, somehow we have a system that something was there when I needed it. Thank you. I may have agreed to a higher percent than I really wanted to at the time or wish I did it differently. I'll do it better in the future. But thank you. What about the bills? What about the bills? When the water bill comes, do we go, or do we say, wow, thank you for the system that created the water that came to my house, that nourishes my body. Thank you, and bless it. David Owen Ritz, the teacher of Keys to the Kingdom, I love this, love this, love this. He said, try this on. Go to an ATM, take out your money, and say, I won. Bless it all, because our blessing makes a difference. We live in a spiritual universe governed by spiritual laws. Amen? And so it is. I know that was really 10 sermons in one, and good on you for sticking with me. It's a rich practice and a rich principle. So let us take a moment now to engage in the law of circulation, giving our love offerings and our tithes, giving in proportion to that which comes to us and through us, and in dedication to the one power and one presence. Together we know this blessing. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And let us keep casting bread upon the water.